Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Laurel's Bright Idea by Jasinda Wilder, narrated by Summer Roberts. Chapter 1. I stood in front of the mirror in the powder room of Seven and Autumn's house, fidgeting with my dress. I couldn't get the cups to stay in place, and my boobs kept trying to escape, a condition I called wandering nipple, or peekaboob. Either way, not a good look for a backyard wedding for one of my best friends. I mean, the dress was killer. Givenchy, custom-tailored for me. Off the shoulder, cut to emphasize my hourglass figure, which, of late, was becoming more focused on the lower portion than I'd like. By which I mean, my ass was taking over. I wasn't, pear-shaped quite yet, but I used to have a true hourglass figure, with proportions Marilyn Monroe would have been jealous of. No matter. I could just emphasize my cleavage with some nice supportive bras, and no one would be the wiser. Until they saw me naked. Which, lately, has been a sadly lacking part of my life. I'd never admit to it, even to my best friends, but I was, gasp, in a dry spell. The worst part was, I wasn't even trying. Since I discovered boys at 13, I only had to give a male a look, and they were mine for as long as I wanted to toy with them. It was no different now. If anything, I had the look down to an art form. Pickup lines were for amateurs. I could pick up some fun for the night with a single look. Of them at me. If I gave them the look, they'd be under my spell by the time we got to my Aston Martin DB6. Yes, I drove a vintage sports car. It's very hot of me. But lately, I just hadn't been interested in the same old cast of loser wannabes and vapid playboys. I wanted a man. I knew the girls had posted an ad, and I'd gotten a few bites. But simple cursory sleuthing had precluded me from going out with any of them. Maybe I wasn't giving them a fair shake, but shit, none of them interested me. I was lonely. I was sad. I was bitter. But I had a reputation as an icy sex goddess to maintain, and I couldn't let my friends down. So I put on the face, the bright smile and the glittery look to my eyes, which were a pale blue that was nearly white. My hair was perfect, coiled into tendrils of naturally platinum ringlets around my face, the top tied back, the rest loose. The dress hugged my curves, supported my boobs, when they weren't wandering out, and made my hips look like straight-up man-killers, which, TBH, they were. See, the thing about this dry spell was, my heart and mind weren't playing along with my body, which was every bit as borderline nymphomaniacal as ever. It was my soul that was on a dry spell. My body wasn't with that plan, and was doing everything it could to remind me that I hadn't had sex in months. And even my vibrators had been off duty for a couple weeks. It was getting positively dusty down in my nether regions. But time to suck it up. Be a good girl for Autumn's wedding. Her wedding to the man I'd jilled off to every night and every morning for the past several years. Not that that was connected in any way to my dry spell. No, not at all. Unrelated. Totally unrelated. Finally, with one last tug to make sure my boobs were firmly seated in the cups, I headed out. And I saw God. Or a god, at least. Little G. But if he didn't deserve the capital G, I don't know who would. Tall, dark, and handsome. Just the way I liked them. Only this one took the cliché to sinful, devilish new heights. 6'6" if he was an inch, with naturally dark, swarthy caramel skin, tanned darker yet by the California sun. Long black hair in tight spirals hanging down loose around his back and shoulders. A short, neat beard framed a hard, rugged jawline. A silver hoop adorned the center of his lower lip. More earrings on his ears than I had, all of them heavy silver. Tattoos all over, colorful, masterful, of birds and tigers, and guns and knives, and angels and pinup girls, and hands of cards, and guitars and amps, and I didn't know what all. He wore a leather vest, open, over a bare torso. And fuck me, I'd never seen any man in real life as shredded as he was. 8 razor-sharp abs, a V-cut peeking up out of his faded, ripped black jeans. Long, lean, hard arms with rippling cords of muscle. Guitarist forearms, fingers glinting with rings. Heavy black boots, shit kickers. A rock star. The rock star. Titus Bright, the baddest bad boy in music. Frontman for a long-lived hard rock band notorious for taking the rock star lifestyle to its wildest extremes. And then, when that band broke up following the sudden overdose death of the drummer, he'd done an about-face and started a new project, Bright Star, which did ballads and touching acoustic pieces with delicate melodies and haunting lyrics. Bright Star could rock out, but they were not a metal band of the same vein Titus's previous band had been. Bright Star defied genre. They'd featured rappers, flamenco guitarists, cellists, accordionists, opera singers, gospel choirs, banjos, anything and everything, and every single song was a platinum hit. Titus Bright was the mastermind behind it all, the musical genius who also happened to be the single hottest and most eligible bachelor on the planet, now that Seven St. John was marrying my best friend, Autumn Scott. And he was here, in Seven's backyard, setting up a rack of guitars. He saw me floating, stunned and hypnotized across the yard, and he paused, froze, really, slowly set the guitar down into the rack without looking away from me. I'd never been looked at like that in my entire life. Like prey. Like something to eat, a helpless little bunny caught out alone in a field. He was the wolf, prowling along the tree line. His eyes were a tan so pale they were almost yellow, lupine. He shoved his hands in his back pockets and met me in the middle of the yard, eyes narrowed, jaw flexing. God damn. His voice was hoarse, raspy, guttural. You're even more fucking stunning than I'd imagined you would be, Laurel McGillis. I blinked, swallowed, tried to breathe. You know who I am? He shuffled closer, towered over me, his presence imposing, powerful, primal. Yeah, I do. I know you. Not as well as I'm going to, though. I see, I said, trying for the icy demeanor that had never failed me yet. Until now. You're sure of that, are you? He reached up with one hand, twisted a ringlet of my hair around his finger, brought it to his nose, and inhaled. Yes, he murmured, I am. Awful confident of you, Mr. Bright. His eyes ravaged me. You're mine, Laurel. You may not know it yet, but you will, soon enough. I gulped, an audible gasp. You can't say that to me, I whispered. But I just did. He smirked. What are you gonna do about it? I had not a single clue. For the first time in my life, I felt as if I was at the mercy of a man, rather than the other way around. This would either be the most fun I'd ever have, or it would utterly change me, forever. I turned on my heel and click-clacked across the lawn, away from Titus Bright. I ducked into the first doorway I came to, the laundry room. Lore? Kat's voice. I peeked out, saw my friend, reached out, snagged her arm, and tugged her to me. She squealed in surprise. Laurel, what are you doing in the laundry room? This is bad, Kat, I whispered under my breath. Really, really bad. She laughed, and wasn't even quiet about it. Why are you whispering? We are literally the only ones in the house. Titus Bright is out there. So? So, he knew my name. He said things to me. Again, so what? It's Titus Bright, damn it. You don't understand. Kat pulled me out of the laundry room and toward the staircase to the spare bedroom, where Autumn was getting ready. She glanced over at me as we paused outside the closed door of the bedroom. You met Titus Bright. He's hot. He knows your name. So the hell what? He probably saw the ad. He wants you. Great. An eye roll. She pulled her phone out of her clutch, tapped and scrolled a moment, and then showed me her phone. On it, the ad. A photo of me. A selfie, as a matter of fact. In my bathroom. At home. God, this photo? Really? I'd just gotten back from vacation in the Caribbean, where I'd spent a lot of time tanning on the beach, and the photo in question was a private one, meant to show off to my girlfriends how tan I was. I was naked in the selfie. My body was twisted to the side from the waist down, showing my thigh and buttock in profile, thereby blocking any view of my hoo-ha. But it was clear I was naked as a jaybird. My arm was bared across my tits, left hand clutching my right boob, forearm over my right, upper torso twisted around to face 3/4 to front. Long platinum blonde hair, loose, curly, and kinky from having been in a braid all day. No makeup. Granted, it was a damn good shot of me. Showed off my bangin' ass and thighs, my toned waist, and my boobage was spilling over my wrist and hands to rather dramatic effect. Under the photo was the now standard caption, which had now adorned the ad beneath photos of both Lizzie and then Autumn before me. Beautiful, successful single woman in search of a wealthy, handsome man to help her get pregnant the old-fashioned way. Financial validation a must. Serious inquiries only. DM for more info. It's Titus Bright, I repeated. You're overthinking it, babe, Kat said. I've heard stories about that man that'll make your toes curl. I'm sure you have too. I mean, shit, there's a whole subreddit about Titus Bright urban legends and sex stories. You want to get on that cock for a quickie after the wedding? I'm sure no one will be surprised. If you don't, we'd be a little surprised, but you do you. You've been kinda weird lately, so not taking advantage of the attention of a sinfully sexy rock star worth, last I checked, 500 million, who also happens to have looked at you, in your own words, like something to eat? Well, that would be weird. I don't care how much he's worth. Honestly, I tend to avoid rich guys. This whole billionaire thing is you guys. I've been there, done that. I sniffed. Rich guys are lazy. They think because their bank account has a few extra zeros that I'm gonna suddenly just start spontaneously orgasming, and they aren't gonna have to put in the work to get me there. Kat laughed. Honey, I have a hard time believing it's difficult to give you an O. A stiff breeze will get you off. I snorted. And what gives you that impression, Katya? When was the last time you were in the room while I had an orgasm? Ew, I was teasing, Laure. You don't have to be gross about it. So now my orgasms are gross to you? Kat frowned at me. You're picking a fight, and I'm not here for it. My point is, have sex with him, don't have sex with him, it's your call. But don't make it into this whole big thing. You're the one who mere moments ago was all like, ooh, he's so rich, he's so famous, there's a whole swath of the internet dedicated to his sexual prowess. All of which can be considered reasons both for and against you having anything further to do with him. And you're the one who just said wealth isn't interesting to you. Kat, Laurel, are you going to stand out there arguing all morning? Or are you going to get your asses in here and help me with my hair? Autumn called from the other side of the door. It's not going to braid itself, you know. We exchanged looks and went in. Zoe was doing Autumn's makeup, and Teddy was steaming her dress. Autumn sat in a tall chair, wearing a strapless white bra that was more sheer lace than anything else, and provided rather little by way of support. and a thong that was similarly sheer and white. She looked stunning, sensual, and I was seeing more of her than I maybe needed to. Not that I was prudish about it. We were all comfortable with each other's nudity, especially Lizzie, Kat, and me, having been best friends since college, and having shared rooms with each other on numerous occasions. "You look sexy AF, Autumn," I said. "That lingerie does amazing things for you." She smiled at me. "Thanks, Laure. Seven picked it out." I arched an eyebrow. "He did, huh? And has he seen it on you?" She smirked, rolled a shoulder. "I mean, he was in the changing room with me, so yes, but not yet today." Zoe had the tip of her tongue sticking out as she ran lip liner over her older sister's lips. "I guess it's one of their things, lingerie shopping together." "He likes picking out my underwear," Autumn said, "and it's fun. He picks stuff I'd never pick for myself, but I figure that's the point of fancy panties, right? It's not for me, it's for him." I flicked a finger at her. "Clearly. That bra looks great, but it's not really doing much by way of support." Zoe sat back, twirling the lip liner pencil between her fingers, and then tapped at the underside of her sister's boob. "She doesn't need much support with these cute little mosquito bites." Autumn stuck her tongue out at Zoe. "Hello, Pot? This is Kettle. Come in, Pot. Over." She pointed at Zoe. "You're not rocking anything more than I am, Princess. Less, if anything." "Maybe, but mine are perkier." A flouncing shrug. "Because I'm younger." Autumn faked a glare. "Your age and boob-shaming me, your beloved elder sister, your only family on my wedding day?" Zoe burst into laughter and fell against her sister, hugging her. "You know I'm teasing, Autumn. I'm just jealous because I'd never have the courage to wear lingerie like that. I'm too much of a scaredy cat." Autumn pushed her away, patting her cheek. "Someday you'll grow up and find a man of your own, and you'll understand." Zoe snorted, setting aside the lip liner and reaching for a contouring pad. "One can only hope. I'm beginning to think otherwise, though." "Your date with the hot mechanic didn't go well?" Autumn asked. I moved behind Autumn and began dragging a brush through her long copper locks. "Do tell, Zoe. Did he replace your spark plugs?" "Did he fix your carburetor?" Kat said, snickering. "Maybe he changed your oil," Teddy suggested. Zoe snorted, focusing on her sister as she answered. "He was awful. I was so bored. I barely made it to dessert, honestly. All he wanted to talk about was cars. Like, listen, I like a sexy car as much as the next gal, but buddy, in no way, shape, or form do I give one single shit about the '68 Chevelle you're restoring." He talked for literally an hour straight about how he bored out the cylinders to get all this extra horsepower. I legit told him I wasn't all that interested, and could we talk about something else? And he was like, "Yeah, sure," and started in on, I shit you not, the upholstery he was planning on using. "Oh my God," Teddy said, putting the steam wand away and leaning against the wall near Autumn. "I had a date a lot like that a few weeks ago. This guy I met on Tinder. Yes, I'm still using Tinder. He was hot. I swiped. We DM'd. He made good conversation, had a good pickup line, so we met. In person, he was nowhere near as hot as his bio made him seem, and he literally only wanted to talk about airplanes. He's a pilot, I guess, which is great, but God, airplanes, for 2 hours. Autumn wanted her hair done in braids that wrapped around her head, and Kat and I were by far the best braiders of the group, so we'd been tapped to do her hair. Of course, Autumn could have paid for a glam squad herself, and Seven offered, but Autumn insisted it was us. And I had to admit, this was more fun. There was champagne, for one thing. The worst date stories continued as Kat and I worked on the braids. "Your turn, Laurel," Lizzie said. Lizzie's job was to help Autumn into her dress once hair and makeup were done. She'd been sitting off to one side, out of the way of the hair and makeup, sipping champagne. Worst date, Go. I sighed. She knew this story already, but the other girls didn't. My first year working with Lizzie, it was just her and me, as Kat hadn't hired on yet. We would trade which of us got the good listings, right? So we both had a chance at the bigger commissions. It was my turn for the good listing, and when it came in, it was this plum of a place in Laguna Beach, top-floor condo, 2 units that had been combined. The biggest listing we'd had, and I was freaking out. I was there every day, fiddling with the staging, updating the photos, just obsessing. I discovered there was a drip leak under one sink, and I just freaked the fuck out. Called every plumber I knew, but they were all weeks out, and I had a showing that day. I mean, the first showing I'd scheduled on this massive listing, and I had a leak? No one could come look at it. So I was sitting in my car in the parking lot, yanking my hair out, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. And I saw this guy carrying a toolbox to a truck. He was big, he was sexy, and he had tools. Problem solved, right? I had a feeling it was just a loose fitting or something, but what the hell do I know? So I do my best flounce over to him, where he was messing with the tools in the back of his truck. Lizzie started snorting. Shush, you! I tied the braid off and started on another. I asked him if he could fix something for me. I have a plumbing problem I was hoping you could help me with, is verbatim what I said. I hadn't meant it as a come-on, but hell, he was cute. Maybe I could get the leak fixed and have him check my plumbing, right? I sighed, continued. He fixed the leak in about 10 seconds and said, "Now how about the plumbing issue? It's on like Donkey Kong, right?" Oh, it was on. I had an hour still before the showing, so I got him to do me up against the wall in the bathroom. Plumbing issue fixed. He laid some serious pipe, you might say. Good, right? He asks me out afterward. After he screwed you? Kat asked. Yep. He was still tucking himself back into his pants, which, let's just say, took a while. There was a lot to tuck. I sighed wistfully, remembering. God, he was hung. Anyway, I agreed because I was still in that post-orgasmic la-la land and I wasn't thinking. So he says, I'll pick you up tomorrow night at 8. Great. I'm ready by 7:55, because maybe we could get a quickie in before dinner and get it on after the date. Lizzie was trying hard not to laugh now. Money doesn't impress me. Show up in the sexiest car on the planet, I'll be like, great, nice car, now let's see your package. Kat snorted. You have a one-track mind. Yes, I do. I waved at her. Now shush, we're getting to the good part. He showed up 10 minutes late, in his work van. Not his personal truck, oh no, that was a nice truck. Newer, kind of plain, but nice. I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna judge you based on what you drive. I judge you based on how good the dick is. Oh my God, Laurel! Teddy cackled. You're horrible. How is that horrible? I'm not making any excuses. I let them know ahead of time that it's not going to be a situation where we walk off into the sunset together. We're going to have a little date for the sake of appearances, we're going back to his place, and we're going to fuck. And if the dick is good, I'll give you one more ride on the pony. If not, bye-bye. And listen, I'm not picky. I don't care what you drive, how much you make, whether you're built like The Rock or Seth Rogen. My criteria is, do you interest me at all? If you're funny, great. If you're built like a superhero, great. You just need one thing to catch my attention, and I'll give you a shot. What you're saying is you have no standards whatsoever, Kat said, eyeing me sideways, and that you'll fuck anything with a dick and a pulse. A dick, a pulse, and something interesting. And the plumber in this endless story of yours, Autumn said, what did he have? Well, to be honest, he was picked for his looks. I am most easily swayed by looks, and he had the looks. I waved. Anyway, all that to say, I'm really, really not judgmental about what I'm picked up in. I've gone out with guys who picked me up in their grandmother's '96 Buick LeSabre. I'm okay with that. But the work van? The plumber's van? Red flag. But he had a good excuse, a last-minute call to some sort of exploded pipe. I sighed, remembering. I tried. I really did. I got in, climbed over the mountain of McDonald's bags and liters of Mountain Dew. Red flag number 2, because ew. But then, as we were driving, I kept smelling something, and it was not a good smell. "Oh, no," Zoe said, laughing, covering her mouth. "That's not good when he's a plumber who just had an emergency." Turns out the emergency had been a burst sewage pipe. I closed my eyes, because the smell was something you don't forget. He'd gotten pretty messy, and he'd put the soiled coveralls or whatever in a plastic bag in the back of his van. But that bag was not equal to the task of containing the stench. And, even worse, he himself still stank, like raw sewage to be exact. Why didn't he call or text and say he needed a few extra minutes to shower and change? Teddy asked. Like, did that not cross his mind? I guess not, I asked. I asked him exactly that question, and his response was, well, I was already in the area. I figured we'd go back to my place and I'd shower and change. Zoe snorted. Ooh, sexy. Didn't you want to take a shower with a man who smelled like raw sewage? Right? I asked, cackling. Isn't that every girl's fantasy? And I'm guessing Mr. Plumber didn't get a second ride on the penny pony? Kat asked. I shook my head. He did not. I got out at a red light and walked home. You got out at a stoplight and walked home? Teddy asked. That seems kinda harsh, even considering. I stared her down. You weren't in that van with that smell. You ever smell something that stinks so bad you can taste it? Like in the back of your throat? It was like that. Literally nauseating. Teddy made a face. Wow, I guess it's more understandable. Did he not notice the smell? I shrugged. I don't know. I guess not. I mean, maybe he was used to it? I really don't know. But that's my worst date ever story. That's pretty bad, Autumn said. But I have a better topic of discussion, seeing as I'm about to get married. Best dates. Well, if that's what we're talking about, Zoe said, then you and Lizzie are excluded because the rest of us will just get jealous. Lizzie snorted. How is that our fault? You guys are the ones who keep putting up the ad. Kat eyed me, because she and I both knew Titus's interest was almost assuredly due to the ad. But the unspoken rule surrounding this whole weird game we were playing was that we never openly discussed it as a group. I'm not saying anything is your fault, Zoe said. I'm just saying for those of us who haven't been swept off our feet by Prince Charming, hearing about your ooey-gooey, rich and chewy dates of ultimate romanticism is just torture. Especially since I, in particular, seem to attract the douchiest of douches. A sigh. Such as hella sexy mechanics with arms the size of my head, a chest you could break rocks on, and an ass like 2 cannonballs in a denim sack. And the IQ of a potato, which is not a dig against mechanics, just that one in particular. Being unable to talk about anything except cars doesn't make him a douche, Teddy said, ever the one to try to find the good side of someone. It just makes him of narrow-minded interests. How about I share my best date? Kat said. There isn't one. The end. Teddy gently backhanded Kat's arm. Oh, stop. You have to have had at least one date in your life that was good. Kat laughed. Yeah, fine. There was the one time I went out with this high-powered attorney type. His name was Damien, and he was one of those bizarrely intelligent types. Like, he graduated high school at 16 and had passed the bar by 22. Like, as weird as it sounds, he was just one of those people who's just literally on this earth for one specific thing. And for him, it was law. He was...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?